And I was expecting to see wild smoke coming down the aisles, people dancing, you know, chandelier, chandelier. And the devil had put in mind a picture of Pentecostal ladies, because there was one on the bus in Dundas, Ontario, when I would go to the high school, and she had her hair in this bun, she had a stern face, and I figured she was going, or I had her pegged as a Pentecostal lady. I said, oh no, 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 I don't want to go there. That's too scary. Well, we walked to this Bethel Pentecostal church, and everybody was friendly, transparent, absolutely amazing people. I started shaking hands with everybody. Good to see you, good to see you, good to see you. And Pastor Spearheader, how are you? Good to see you, good to see you. Glad you've come. And we just felt the warmth. It was really amazing, absolutely amazing. It was awesome. Now, just to backtrack one little bit, before we left Hamilton, before we left Burlington to go to Ottawa, I had given everybody in Firestone something to remember me by, because I was so involved in tickets, lottery tickets, selling records, selling the Christmas booze, and so on. I gave each of them a little bottle of Canadian Club whiskey. I said, I want each of you to remember Ty Brooks by this bottle of whiskey. So I bought about 33 of them, gave them all out. So one day the Lord said, go back to Hamilton, and what I want you to do is give each one of those 33 people, and none of them had left, a New Testament.
Yes.
Tell them the old Tom Brooks is dead,
Amen.
and the new one is alive, and he's totally different. The old one's gone. It's gone away.
Hallelujah.
So I walked into Firestone one day, saw them all there, 33 people, and I went to each one individually, because the Lord gave me the words to say. I said, I'm awfully sorry. I gave you those bottles of whiskey. I don't endorse alcohol anymore. I'm a teetotaler. I don't believe in it. I believe 100% that devil, that's his number one tool for perversion of mankind, still is today. And I said, would you accept this New Testament in place of that bottle that I mistakenly gave you? And they all said yes. Everyone did.
Yeah.
So absolutely amazing. And the 3 people that had prayed for me, they just shook their heads and couldn't believe it. They were so happy. It was just exciting. It really was exciting. But, you know, as we continued on at Bethel Pentecostal Church, the pastor there, Pastor Hunter, after about a year or two, he gave me a job of arranging the photo directory. The photo directory meant you had to call people up and find out how they wanted their name, and sometimes they would give you a piece of paper with the name, address, and so on, and I would have to find out whether they wanted to be included, you know, all the information. But we had a few issues there with a few of them, and what I would do was go back to some of the assistant pastors, Keith Higgins or Gary Fasson, and say, Pastor Gary Fasson, can you help me here? I'm having a problem dealing with this saint, and I'm having a problem dealing with this saint. So early on, got to find out that not every saint is, shall we say, 100% on fire, and some of them had issues. They didn't want to have their name in the book, and the pastor said, try your best to get their name and their number, the name and the number. This is a complete thing. It's to minister, as a body ministry. People can call people up with needs and call back and forth, and I took it that. I took my job seriously, did the best job I could, and we got that photo ministry done, although there was a few issues with it. Remember you were saying the other day that you drove down to Jimmy Swagger? We did, it was 87, I think it was, before the first fall. We took all our kids, all 4 of them, and we went into there. We got prayed for because I wasn't feeling too good. I think I ate too much at one of those big restaurants down there. And went up to the front, got prayed for, and my wife, it just looked really good. Like they were the big crowds and everything. Everything was just booming. And my wife came over and she said to me, Tommy, she said, all this is going to fall. I said, what? She says, all this is going to fall. I said, what do you mean? Everything's looking very good here. She went back and she told the pastor's wife and a few of the deacon's wife, she says, all this is going to fall. And 6 months later it did.
Wow.
But we didn't hold it against Pastor Reverend Jimmy. We were involved in the very first of Jimmy's churches that were going to be established after that time. I think it was called World Evangelism Fellowship, and we were going to be the anchor church in the Burlington area. Well, we started that off, and for a little while, it went with us, and due to just a few issues, we had to withdraw from that. But we forgave Jimmy, and we just love his ministry, love his music, and his anointing. And basically, while Olga was attending church with our kids, unbeknownst to her, I turned the TV on every morning and watched Jimmy. listen to him. And after 6 months, I agreed with everything he said. There wasn't anything he said. He preached the gospel with simplicity, but with great power and authority. And he was just conditioning me to receive the gospel. And that's basically how that foundation was laid there. I just want to kind of go back. I know this is a bunny trail. We'll just say, watch out for bunny trails. But the Lord has worked with our family and with me in particular, sometimes in quite unique ways. And on Friday the 13th, I was able to see a miraculous event right where the Grand River meets Lake Erie. You've probably heard that there were some towns where the water came around the houses, people were evacuated. I was right there right at that time. And I had my camera videoing all of the happenings there. And I said to my student who was filming this, do you see all that ice over there? It's going from here to here. It's in motion. There's some static ice here. But it says it's going slower and slower and slower. And pretty soon, before our eyes, all the ice which was tumbling down at such great passage and power suddenly froze right in front of me while I was doing the camera work. And I said just before that, look at all that power that's coming down here. I says, why do they need nuclear energy when you can see the thrust power of these massive ice boulders, which could have been as far up as maybe Kitchener or Paris or Bradford, coming down the river and actually finally coming to a stop right there. And to me, I just called it supernatural. It's on YouTube right now. If you search for Dunville Flood, you'll be able to see it. Dunville Flood or Cuba Flood or Port Inlet Flood. But that was an exciting event to see that. It really was. One day when that song you were singing about life has its valleys, I think that really spoke to our hearts, because the Christian walk, if you're up in the hills, it's, fine to be up in the hills, but in the valleys, that's where growth takes place. It's also where issues happen, and we have to trust God and ask God to help us when we are in the valleys. And